October 21 Prophecy. You pray for breakthrough, but dismiss the doors God already opened. This message is the sign you missed, and it's still waiting for you. October 21 is not just a date marked on the calendar. In the realm of the Spirit, it is a divine checkpoint, a moment when heaven leans close to the earth to whisper into the ears of those who have been crying out in silence. For some, it may feel like any other day, but for the chosen, for the ones who have been fasting in the dark, weeping behind closed doors, praying without words left to pray, October 21 has been etched into eternity as a divine intersection. Here is movement in the unseen. The heavens have begun to whisper your name again. Yes, you, the one who's been asking if God still sees you. You, the one who's been begging for breakthrough, unaware that what you asked for might have already been answered, not in thunder, not in fire, but in a whisper. You have asked the Lord to open a door, not realizing the door was open before the request ever left your lips. But what do you do when the answer to your prayer looks ordinary? What do you do when God hides divine opportunity behind mundane moments? This message is not for the complacent. It is not for the casual. It is not for those who drift by on spiritual autopilot. This word is for those whose spirits have been restless, whose hearts have sensed that something is stirring, but they can't explain it. You've walked past the open door 100 times because it didn't look like deliverance, because your spiritual sight was clouded by the voices of doubt, by the noise of disappointment, by the fog of spiritual fatigue. And while you prayed and pressed, the Spirit moved, quietly, patiently, lovingly, waiting for your obedience, not your perfection, waiting for your recognition, not your reasoning. Hear this now. In your stillness, heaven will reveal what you missed. It's not over. It's not lost. It's not too late. Before October 21 ends, something hidden will be shown to you. Type I am ready to SE in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 2110 is now activated. I, Michael, Archangel of the Lord of Hosts, stand at the threshold between the unseen and the seen. I bring a word not just of comfort, but of awakening. Hear me now, for the wind of God is moving again, and this word has descended like fire into your timeline. This is not coincidence. This is not convenience. This is divine appointment. Heaven is speaking again. Will you hear it this time? There is an urgency in the Spirit, a holy pressure wrapped in mercy, declaring, within the next 48 hours, heaven will confirm this word. The confirmation will not come as you expect, not through the voice of man, but through the orchestration of time itself. Patterns will break. Silence will speak. And what was once blurred will begin to sharpen before your eyes. This message is not for every ear. It is not for those seeking entertainment. It is for the intercessors who feel invisible, for the dreamers who feel delayed, for the warriors who cry in private. If your soul has groaned in the night and your prayers have returned with no echo, this prophecy is your interruption. You have not been overlooked. You have been reserved. Reserved for a moment when heaven would shake you into remembrance. The Lord has heard your cry, but now the cry must be met with awareness. Breakthrough does not always arrive in thunder. Sometimes it arrives in a decision. Sometimes it comes wrapped in a strange conversation, a reappearing name, or a door you thought was already closed. And yet, it waits. It still waits. The realm of the Spirit has already moved on your behalf. The alignment has already begun. The angels have been dispatched. The oil hath been poured. The instructions have been released. But your sight, child of God, your sight has been dulled by distraction, and your spirit has grown weary from confusion. But confusion is not your inheritance. Delay is not your sentence. Misrecognition is not your portion. You keep asking for a sign, yet you keep ignoring the sounds of heaven. But I tell you, the wind is speaking again. The whisper is rising into a roar. The Lord of hosts is summoning your attention, not your performance, not your perfection, but your recognition. For the door you pray for does not need to open, it needs to be seen. There is a cost to spiritual deafness. There is a weight to repeated delay. You have been repeating the request, but the Spirit says, "Why do you pray for a gate I already unlocked?" What is missing is not heaven's movement. What's missing is your moment of realization. Let the scales fall. Let the distractions fade. Let the urgency rise. I declare this prophetically. Your name is being whispered in rooms you haven't entered. Your obedience is about to collide with heaven's schedule. You are moments away from recognizing the thing that once passed you by. Will you listen this time? Will you move this time? Heaven is speaking again, but will you recognize the sound? Type "I am listening" in the comments if this is speaking to your spirit. Blessing code 4808 has been released into your atmosphere. Duff fire, there hath been too much noise around you. Noise in conversations that should have been ended. Noise in the opinions of people who don't carry spiritual authority over your life. Noise in the form of endless distractions, subtle disobedience, and emotional exhaustion. And it is this noise, not sin, not failure, but noise, that has blurred your spiritual perception. Yes, child of light, you've been praying for breakthrough, but the frequency of heaven hath been drowned out by the loudness of fear, the volume of disappointment, and the constant hum of other people's chaos. You thought the silence of God was abandonment, but the silence was your invitation to discernment. God didn't stop speaking. You stopped noticing. And now, I speak to your memory, to your spiritual recall. Go back. Rewind your week. What did you overlook that you should have leaned into? What dream repeated itself, only to be brushed off as nothing? What conversation echoed something deeper, though you dismissed it as coincidence? What stranger spoke a sentence that felt oddly familiar, as if heaven was hiding in their voice? These were not accidents. They were heaven's breadcrumbs, divine clues laid before you in plain sight. The text you ignored, the opportunity you second-guessed, the door you once knocked on, which creaked open slightly, and yet you turned away too soon. You cried out to God to make a way, but you did not linger long enough to see that the way was already unfolding before you. The enemy knew if he couldn't block your blessing, he'd simply make it blend in. That's why your spirit has felled off. That's why your soul has been restless. There's been a war between what your eyes see and what your spirit knows. Something inside you sensed it, a discomfort, a subtle pressure, a heaviness that had no name. That was the echo of an open door trying to get your attention. And you have been watched, not just by heaven, but by hidden eyes, people who sense your shift but can't explain it. They feel something moving in your favor, though they cannot see the source. Some around you have picked up on your elevation without understanding your anointing. They speak lightly of you, but they feel something rising in you. They've witnessed your fatigue, but not your fire. They saw your stillness and mistook it for stagnation, unaware that you were standing at the edge of a divine reintroduction. Listen closely. They know something is happening to you, but they do not know what heaven has planned for you. That is the mystery of this moment, the divine disguise, the sacred covering, for what God is about to do in you, through you, and around you is not for the validation of the watchers, it's for the fulfillment of the whisper. You are still on heaven's schedule. Nothing missed, nothing wasted, nothing denied, only delayed for awareness. Go back. Look again. That idea. That connection. That moment you shrugged off. It still waits. It still breathes. It still carries your name. Now, heaven is calling you to slow down, not to stop. To pause and perceive. To silence the voices that confuse you so you can finally hear the voice that chose you. What was once hidden will reveal itself. Type "I will not miss IT" again in the comments if your spirit is awakening. Blessing code 7772 is surrounding your timeline. If this prophetic word has touched your spirit, if you've heard your name echoed through these sacred sentences, then this is your moment to act, not just to receive, but to help someone else hear what heaven is still speaking. When you support this message through super thanks, membership, or a donation via PayPal link in description, you are sowing into something eternal. You're not funding a channel. You're fueling a calling. You're helping unlock clarity for the next person still sitting in the fog you've just escaped. The word says, "Give, and it shall be given unto you. Pressed down, shaken together, running over." This is God's invitation, not man's request. And if your heart stirred even once during this message, then this moment is also your assignment. Give boldly. So faithfully. Be part of the awakening. Support now. Heaven is multiplying what you release. Now hear this clearly. What you have been facing has not been random. The resistance, the delay, the silent tension in your atmosphere, none of it hath been accidental. The warfare against you was never about your weakness. It was about your awareness. For the enemy cannot close what heaven has opened, but he can distract you long enough to walk past it. And in this hour, the Lord would have you see that the conflict you are in is not punishment. It is preparation. It is the tension between heaven's invitation and your moment of recognition. You've questioned your value. You've questioned your timing. You've even questioned whether you've missed it entirely. But I declare to you now, you have not missed your moment. Your moment is waiting for you to see it. The enemy tried to delay you, not by stopping your prayers, but by cluttering your path with busyness, with offenses, with emotional triggers, with the appearance of closed doors so that your spirit would grow discouraged before discernment could rise. But discernment is rising now, and the Spirit of God is opening your eyes to this truth. Many of your answers were hidden inside ordinary instructions. What you've been asking for was wrapped in obedience you ignored. The miracle you cried out for was disguised as a phone call you postponed. The door you demanded heaven to open was actually unlocked through a simple, overlooked nudge in your spirit. That is how heaven moves in this season, quietly, subtly, but strategically. And let me say this with divine authority, you are not being punished. This season has not been a sentence against you. It has been a refinement. It has been the holy fire that burns away dependence on sight and forces you to lean into spirit over senses. For the truly anointed do not move by sight. They move by divine prompting. And now the Father is teaching you not just how to pray, but how to perceive. Because what's next for you will not come with flashing lights or fanfare. It will come in stillness, in humility. In the moment when you pause long enough to say, "God, is this you?" And heaven will whisper back, "Yes, I was here the whole time." Even now, angels are positioned, not just to protect you, but to observe your response. They are watching how you carry confusion, watching how you handle divine silence, watching how you respond when clarity feels just out of reach. For the truth is this: obedience in confusion separates the chosen from the called. Many are called to receive the word, but few are chosen to walk it out when the path feels foggy. Heaven is not just watching your victory. Heaven is watching your reaction in the in-between. When nothing is confirmed yet, when no door has visibly opened, when no voice is speaking loudly, do you still believe? Do you still obey? Do you still move? The Father has not left you without direction. He has hidden it not to tease you, but to train you, to develop your ears for whispers instead of waiting for thunder, to break the addiction to constant clarity and build a trust that is deeper than what you see. So hear this now: the open door is not coming. It is already here, but it will only be recognized by those who silence the noise long enough to perceive the invitation. And you, beloved, are being called back to your senses, not your physical ones, but your spiritual ones. The battle has not been against your destiny. It's been against your discernment. Type "I will obey" in confusion in the comments if this word confirms what your spirit already knew. Blessing code 2313 has now been released upon your atmosphere. Now I speak this by command from the courts of heaven. A shift is already underway. You are not standing on neutral ground. You are standing at the edge of movement. Divine, irreversible, heaven-offered movement. And whether you recognize it or not, everything around you has begun to align. The unseen has started to press against the seen. And I declare this with urgency: between now and the sunset of October 21, clarity will arrive suddenly. Yes, suddenly. Without the need for permission from the people who doubted you. Without the validation of those who overlooked you. Without the confirmation of the world that misread you. Suddenly, you will begin to see what has been hovering just beyond your awareness. What felt locked will appear open. What seemed absent will reappear. And what once seemed confusing will now carry a sacred familiarity. But take heed. This is not just a gift. It is also a test. The Lord is allowing something, or someone, to return in this hour. And their return will not be accidental. It will be a test of recognition. A test to see if your spirit has matured beyond emotion, if your discernment has sharpened beyond assumption. This person, this opportunity, this moment, it will appear again, dressed the same as before, but your perception must be different. For heaven is watching not just your reaction, but your recognition. Will you ignore what you once begged for? Will you mishandle what you once mourned for missing? Do not be deceived. Heaven's mercy has allowed a second chance, but mercy does not guarantee endurance. What you ignore next could close what heaven opened. Yes, I say this with trembling authority. Your disobedience in this moment could cost you timing. And timing is sacred in the kingdom. What is given in grace must be received in alignment. The door can be open, but if you're standing in distraction, you will miss the invitation. Within 72 hours, confirmation will begin to manifest. Not in all the ways you expect, but in the way heaven ordained. It may not look like promotion, but it will feel like peace. It may not look like breakthrough, but it will sound like release. And when you sense it, do not wait for another sign. The sign is in the silence. The confirmation is in the stillness. For what is of God never pressures you into panic. It draws you into peace. Let the weight of this moment settle in your spirit. You are not being threatened. You are being prepared. And preparation always precedes elevation. But elevation requires obedience. Not the kind of obedience that moves when the road is clear, but the kind that acts when the sky is cloudy and the instruction seems vague. Or the mature move with mystery, and the chosen act with conviction. You've asked God to open the door. Now heaven is asking you, will you walk through it, even when it doesn't look like the door you prayed for? Will you trust that what is waiting is better than what is familiar? Will you move without full understanding, knowing that the one who called you will meet you on the other side of obedience? The final test before breakthrough is often not a mountain, it's a moment. And your moment is here. Heaven is watching your next move. The earth is waiting to respond. And your door is already unlocked. Type "I will recognize my moment" in the comments if your next move will be made in obedience. Blessing code 7261 is now sealed over your destiny. Be still now. For in stillness, heaven speaks the loudest. In this moment, the Spirit of the Lord is calling you into a posture not of striving, but of silence. The kind of silence that isn't weak, but prophetic. A silence that isn't passive, but full of purpose. Because everything God is about to do next in your life requires your stillness as protection, not your busyness as performance. You've been moving too fast. Not in rebellion, but in response. You've been trying to make things happen, force clarity, push for answers, chase after signs. But the door you're praying about doesn't need you to chase it. It needs you to recognize it in peace. The door is not locked. The opportunity is not gone. The promise hasn't expired. It's just waiting for the noise to die down so your soul can finally hear the whisper again. Let me say this with fire in my spirit. Confusion is the enemy's tool, but silence is your shield. Confusion gets louder when your spirit gets weaker. But clarity rises when your mind finally quiets down. You keep asking for more signs, but heaven is asking you to stop and listen to the ones already given. You are not without direction. You are simply in a divine pause, a moment of holy tension where heaven is testing if you trust even when your eyes see nothing. This is not the season to react. It is the season to discern. The enemy wants to lure you into premature movement, rushed decisions, emotional conversations, unnecessary warfare. But the Spirit says, withdraw. Come away. Be still. Because in stillness, the strategy is released. In stillness, the direction becomes sharp. In stillness, your spiritual hearing is recalibrated, and suddenly, you begin to sense the yes and no of God without needing a full explanation. The door is still open, but the access code is peace. You're asking for more clarity, but clarity flows from stillness, not striving. It flows from faith, not force. From divine timing, not human pressure. And make no mistake, this silence you are in is not a void. It is not punishment. It is repositioning. The Lord is not ignoring you. He is guarding you. He is shifting you into a divine moment where your alignment protects your assignment. And you must not move until He says go. I release this into your spirit. The answer you missed has not left you. It waits. It waits in the place of your last obedience. It waits at the door you walked past. It waits at the instruction you halfway obeyed. The promise has not vanished. It is simply waiting to be met again in stillness, in peace, in reverence. This is the hour of divine revisitation, but only those who are still will recognize it. Speak this now over your life. I walk in divine timing. What's mine recognizes me. What God opened, no man can shut. I will not miss my moment again. Let that become your rhythm. Let that become your posture. You are being hidden for preservation, not punishment. You are being pulled back for positioning, not rejection. You are being silenced so heaven can speak louder than the confusion that once controlled you. Be still. Do not answer every voice. Do not open every door. Do not revisit every conflict. Some things only live in noise, but your promise lives in peace. Be still. Heaven is realigning everything. Type "I will wait in peace" in the comments if you receive this sacred warning. Blessing code 3337 is now guarding your steps. Now rise. The warning has been delivered, but the time for empowerment is here. You are no longer the one waiting in spiritual confusion. You are no longer sitting in the shadows asking, "Lord, do you still see me?" Heaven says yes. He sees you. But now it's time for you to see yourself. This is no longer about begging for access. This is about walking in recognition. You are not waiting anymore. You are walking into clarity, into identity, into the very door that's been standing open before you all along. Child of God, you've been forged in silence, but now you are rising in understanding. This is the shift from survival to strategy. This is the season where heaven stops hiding what is already yours, and your eyes begin to recognize what your spirit has always known. The battles you've endured were not designed to destroy your hope. They were designed to recalibrate your perception. You didn't lose your anointing in the struggle. You found your endurance. You didn't lose your vision in the fog. You gained discernment that only silence could teach. Evil is not withheld from you. It has prepared you. And now, your wings are unfolding. The fire that nearly consumed you has refined you. You have been purified in the pressure, and now you rise like gold pulled from the furnace, untouched by smoke, unstained by delay, unshaken by time. This is not just recovery. This is reintroduction. The same people who dismissed you will not recognize the you that's emerging from this silence. For you are not who you were when this season began. And you don't need to prove anything. You don't need to explain your shift. Elevation does not come with an apology. God is about to allow you to walk into rooms where your name has already been approved. Doors that you thought were closed are about to respond to your obedience. What you once ran after will now find its way back to you, not because of striving, but because of alignment. Heaven has always moved for you. Now, you move in step with heaven. This is where spiritual maturity becomes your new weapon. You no longer need to be loud to be heard. You no longer need to announce your readiness. You are ready because you endured. You are chosen because you didn't quit when clarity was absent. And now, your voice may be quiet, but your presence carries power. You're no longer chasing confirmation. You are confirmation. You're no longer asking for permission. You are walking in divine instruction. Do not fear their misunderstanding. Do not look for their applause. When you are chosen, you move in silence, but the results speak loudly. You will rise without explanation. You will increase without permission. You will walk through what others missed because your perception was purified in the fire. You were not overlooked. You were being refined for a moment like this. So now, walk differently. Speak differently. Discern with accuracy. Carry yourself with quiet authority. The oil on your eye speaks for itself. You were not delayed, you were developed. You were not denied, you were destined. You were not ignored, you were hidden for glory. This is your moment of release, not just from the warfare, but into your awareness, into your strength, into your next level. Type "I am rising unexplained" in the comments if this is your confirmation. Blessing code 2290 is now empowering your identity. The heavens have always known. Long before your cry and long before your fast, long before the frustration soaked your pillow in silence, the Father had already made provision. You didn't need to beg for it. You didn't have to force it. You didn't have to shout to be heard. The door was open before you ever asked, but God was waiting for your awareness to rise to the level of your request. And now, October 21 stands as a prophetic marker, not only in your calendar, but in the chambers of heaven's timing. It is the moment where the missed sign returns visible, the moment where what you prayed for walks past you again, but this time, you'll recognize it. Child of the Most High, listen carefully. The delay was never denial. The silence was never absence. The stillness was never punishment. It was all divine orchestration, a setup for divine return. The Father hid the answer not from you, but for you, because immaturity would have mishandled what maturity will now steward. He wasn't punishing you. He was growing you. Because what you're about to walk into requires deeper discernment, not louder desperation. This is your unlocking. This is the fulfillment of what your spirit felt but your eyes couldn't confirm. Heaven says, your name has already been spoken in the room you've been praying to enter. The door doesn't need to open. It's already ajar. But the protocol of heaven demands awareness. You cannot enter what you will not perceive. You cannot walk through what you will not honor. And now, heaven is releasing honor back into your story. Restoration with weight. Opportunity with instruction. Elevation with purpose. Let it sink in now. You were never forgotten, only timed. Time for the season where the fruit would not rot in your hands. Time for the day when your character could carry your calling. Time for this very moment, October 21, the day your spiritual sight catches up with what was already scheduled. God says, I opened the door before you knew to knock. I called your name before you knew you'd need deliverance. I scheduled restoration before you knew it was lost. And now you will see what was always yours. This is not new. It's familiar, because your spirit has known it long before your emotions caught up. That's why the frustration had no language. That's why the delay felt so personal. Because deep within you, you knew something had already been set in motion. And now it's unfolding. Slowly but certainly. Quietly but powerfully. You don't need to push it. You don't need to chase it. You just need to move when peace speaks, act when the whisper repeats, and obey when the door calls your name again. This is the moment the missed sign becomes clear. This is the second wave, the reappearing clue, the divine revisitation of what was once passed by. Heaven is not just giving you another chance. Heaven is trusting your new discernment to steward what once overwhelmed you. Type my sign has returned in the comments if this confirms your divine alignment. Blessing code 2121 is now restoring what you missed. If your spirit was ignited by this word, then know this. Your obedience today isn't just for your breakthrough. It's unlocking clarity for someone else still wandering in confusion. You can be the reason someone recognizes the sign they missed. When you sow into this word, through YouTube membership, super thanks, or by giving through PayPal in the description, you're not funding a voice, you're releasing a harvest. The scripture says, He gives seed to the sower. If you felt the fire of this word, then this is God placing a divine seed in your hand. Now plant it. This isn't about supporting content. This is about answering the call to push the word deeper into the earth, so those still in darkness can walk into light. View with faith. Release with boldness. Partner with purpose. Your seed today becomes someone else's revelation tomorrow. Release it now. The heavens are watching. The harvest is ready. Now it begins. Not tomorrow. Not next week. Not when it feels right. Not when people approve. Now. The atmosphere has shifted. The sign has returned. The door is still open. And heaven is not waiting for your perfection. It's waiting for your response. This is not a passive season. This is not the time to analyze what you've already discerned. This is the hour of movement. The hour where those who recognize the open door are called to walk through it without delay. Say yes. Yes to the instruction. Yes to the conversation you were supposed to initiate. Yes to the email you were meant to reply to. Yes to the opportunity you second-guessed. Say yes. Not because you're completely ready, but because heaven is ready for you. Your readiness is not rooted in how you feel. It's rooted in the fact that the Spirit has aligned all things for this window in time. This is not a waiting season. This is a walking season. Heaven is not responding to hesitation. It is responding to movement. And the moment your faith and your awareness come into agreement, the supernatural begins to manifest. This is where the divine transaction takes place. The whisper you heard becomes the path you walk. The sign you ignored becomes the strategy you obey. The moment you take a step toward the door is the moment the door takes a step toward you. Say it aloud. I am ready to see what's already mine. For truly is already yours. Not just promised but prepared. Not just spoken but scheduled. Not just revealed but released. The only thing heaven needs now is your yes. Your activated faith. Your surrendered movement. Because spiritual alignment is not theory. It is action. It is not something you feel into existence. It is something you walk into with clarity and confidence, even when you don't have all the details. The missed moment has returned, but it will not wait forever. The next 72 hours are sacred. The next conversations are holy. The next move must be intentional. This is the territory of the mature, those who do not wait for confirmation from people who were never called to carry their promise. This is where you become the evidence of what God already ordained. This is where you embody the prophecy, no longer just hearing it, but becoming it. Go back. Look again. Revisit what you dismissed. Reopen what you closed. Reconsider what you buried. The answer did not die. The vision was not denied. The dream still breathes. The idea still carries oil. And your next level of destiny is waiting for your obedience to meet your awareness. Do not wait for another sign. This message is the sign. Do not ask God again to open the door. He is now asking you, will you enter it? You are not here by accident. You were led to this moment by divine orchestration, and now you must act like it. This is your activation. This is your invitation. This is your unlocking. Let heaven record this moment as your response, not your hesitation, not your overthinking, not your fear. Let the scrolls of the Spirit testify that when your name was whispered again, you answered boldly. And let the door know you were not just willing, you were ready. Type I am walking through IT in the comments if this is your appointed hour. Blessing Code 2025 is now unlocking your divine momentum. There is a transaction happening right now that your natural eyes cannot see. There is a divine exchange, silent, sacred, and supernatural, taking place in the realm of the Spirit. While the world around you continues as usual, while your environment remains unchanged, heaven is moving in stealth. The kingdom of God does not always shout when it moves. Sometimes it whispers, sometimes it hides, sometimes it repositions things in the shadows until the moment of manifestation arrives. Right now, the Spirit of the Lord is untying knots you didn't even know were constricting your progress. What you lost in the delay is being returned through awareness. Not by striving, not by force but by sight, spiritual sight. For every time you cried out, "Lord, did I miss it?" heaven whispered, "No. You just weren't ready to see it. But you're seeing now. You're hearing now. You're discerning now." And with the discernment comes divine restoration. Angels are moving on your behalf in silence. The warfare has not been loud because the work of God in this season does not need to announce itself to your enemies. The shift began quietly. It started when you began to detach from the noise, when your spirit grew tired of fighting the wrong battles, when your tears turned from questions to surrender. That's when the exchange began. Heaven took your weariness and began to trade it for wisdom. Heaven took your waiting and began to seat it with authority. Heaven took what looked like delay and infused it with discernment. And now, even while you sleep, the Spirit is replaying moments you missed. He is unlocking overlooked instructions. He is reviving words you once ignored. The dreams that didn't make sense then are about to come into full understanding. The people who disappeared suddenly are being revealed for who they really were. The doors you thought closed forever are being dusted off in the heavenly realm and placed back before you, with your name still on them. Let this settle in your spirit. Every tear you cried was a signature on the scroll of restoration. Heaven recorded every silent ache, every surrendered yes, every late-night whisper of hope. Nothing was wasted. And now the scroll is being unsealed. The blessing is being reactivated. The loss is being retransferred. Not as it was, but greater, clearer, stronger. Because what is coming is not just compensation for what you lost. It's confirmation of who you've become. You didn't just survive the delay. You were rebuilt in it. Heaven is honoring what your enemies never saw. You were being elevated in obscurity. You were being upgraded in silence. And now, your steps are being redirected to meet what has always been yours. It's not returning empty. It's returning full. And this time, you will not overlook it. Pay attention in this hour. The conversation that seems casual may carry confirmation. The opportunity that seems familiar may be the re-entry point to a missed door. The thought that returns to your spirit may be divine recall. Do not dismiss what feels like déjà vu. Heaven often speaks through the familiar to remind you of what was always ordained. This is the silent exchange in the spirit. What seemed to die is returning. What was delayed is arriving. What you didn't see then is becoming unavoidable now. This is not a second chance. It's the continuation of what never truly left. Type "I receive" what is returning in the comments if you know this word is for you. Blessing code 5010 is now restoring missed assignments. Now hear me, and hear me in the spirit. Justice is in motion. Divine justice. Not the kind born of human vengeance, but the kind that flows from the throne of righteousness, pure, measured, perfect, and irreversible. What was held back from you, what was unfairly blocked, what was denied to you by people who couldn't discern your assignment, heaven is releasing it. And this time, it comes without interference, without apology, without resistance. The Father has weighed the scales, and the balance of what was taken, what was lost, what was overlooked, what was delayed has reached its limit. You suffered in silence, and your silence was not weakness. It was submission to divine timing. You could have fought in the flesh, but you chose to wait in the spirit. You could have clapped back, exposed, defended, demanded, but you stayed low. You waited. You endured. You kept your mouth shut when you wanted to scream. And now, heaven answers. Everything that was done in darkness is being pulled into the light, not by your hands, but by the holy hand of divine reversal. Yes, there are people who watched you fall, watched you break, watched you be dismissed, and now they will watch restoration unfold in you. Not as punishment against them, but as a public witness of heaven's justice. The Lord says, you don't have to explain what I'm about to do. You don't have to clarify what they misunderstood. You just have to walk in what's already being released. Let this be known. Every ignored opportunity is circling back. Not all will look the same, but the essence of what was yours will return, and it will come with clarity, not confusion. Heaven has rewritten the ending. The script the enemy tried to tear has been retrieved. The parts of your story that were paused by pain are now being written again with power. You thought you were being erased, but heaven was simply writing you in with bold ink. You will not have to chase what's meant for you. You will not have to beg for what carries your name. The door that is returning hath been revised to fit your maturity. The space you are entering was shaped around your scars. Your pain did not disqualify you. It proved your ability to carry glory without becoming prideful. And now, the reversal begins, not just for what was taken, but for what was misunderstood. Even those who misread you will have no choice but to witness your elevation. Those who thought your silence meant defeat will realize it was divine strategy. You were not drinking. You were being sharpened. You were not rejected. You were being rerouted. And now the proof of God's hand on your life will speak louder than any lie spoken against you. There are angels repositioning divine compensation into your atmosphere. They are collecting every word spoken in secret rooms, every plot that tried to poison your progress, and they are delivering divine reversal with prophetic precision. What should have destroyed you only delivered you to the edge of redemption. And what was buried in pain is about to be resurrected in power. Child of God, the scales are shifting. In your favor. In your name. On your timeline. The door that felt closed wasn't locked. It was being guarded until your discernment caught up. And now that you can see clearly, what was withheld will be released. Type "the scales are shifting" for me in the comments if this is your hour of reversal. Blessing code 1010 is now activating justice over your name. Now let this word settle in your bones. You prayed for breakthrough, but heaven had already answered. You cried for movement, but the movement had already begun. You waited for confirmation, but the confirmation came and stood in front of you, quiet, holy, subtle, and passed by unnoticed. But no more. That season of blindness is over. That hour of confusion is broken. That veil of distraction is lifted. And now, with new eyes, new strength, and new awareness, you are being called forward. This is not just a message. It is a mandate. A prophetic declaration. A spiritual inflection point. Heaven brought you here to interrupt your doubt, to confront your delay, to break your dependency on signs and stir up your sensitivity to the already answered prayer. You were never waiting on God. You were being aligned. He answered, and then he waited for your obedience, your stillness, your clarity, your surrender. You are no longer asking if you missed the door. Heaven now commands you to walk through it. What was hidden hath been revealed. What was clothed is now open. What was missed is now manifest. The door stands before you, not as a symbol but as a summons. You are called, not just to notice the moment, but to move in it. You are appointed, not just to hope for change, but to carry it. You are chosen, not just to receive prophecy, but to become the embodiment of its fulfillment. Now I speak blessing over your life. May your eyes remain open, your heart stay tender, and your steps move in rhythm with the Spirit. May your feet walk through what once intimidated you. May your voice carry the weight of clarity. May your soul know when to speak and when to be still. And may your name be called in the very places where your presence was once overlooked. You are sealed. You are seen. You are sent. You are no longer waiting on permission. You are moving with divine instruction. October 21 is not just a date. It is the day your vision returned. It is the day your delay reversed. It is the day the missed sign came again, and this time, you did not ignore it. Walk with boldness now. Speak with authority. Move with clarity. And do not look back. The door is open. It has your name. And heaven is watching you walk through what once passed you by. This is your October 21 prophecy. The sign you missed has returned. Type "the door is mine" in the comments if you are walking into what once slipped through your hands. Final blessing code 2120 is now marking you for fulfillment. If this message was your sign, your door, your moment, your awakening, then let your seed echo back to heaven. I heard you. When you support this word, whether through YouTube membership, super thanks, or a direct PayPal offering in the description, you're not just giving. You are aligning. You are activating. You are releasing oil for others to find their door, too. This is your prophetic response. A seed into the soil of transformation. Not for a platform, but for the deliverance of souls still standing at the threshold, waiting for what you now recognize. The Lord says, as you release, I release. As you give, I multiply. As you honor my voice, I honor your future. This is not a suggestion. It's a divine opportunity. Don't just hear the word. Be part of what heaven is doing. Release it now. Be the echo of obedience. Let your giving speak louder than the silence that once held you back.